So I'm Gavin Russell. I'm the European producer of the Order 1886.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about the game?
Yeah, so the Order 1886 has been a game in development with RAD for the last three and a half years. Ready at Dawn's, this is their creation, their baby, and Santa Monica Studios effectively are their publishing partner.
I think we did an interview before. Did you work on
Probably.
PlayStation All-Star?
Man, everybody remembers me for that game. Why not Journey?
Yeah. Because I remember it was like 3 years ago here.
All-Stars right there.
Yeah, I remember.
That was me. That was me. Many titles then and many titles. It's good to see you again, my friend.
It's really good.
There you go.
The game looks amazing. It's a steampunk game, right?
We're not calling it steampunk.
I'm calling it steampunk.
Well, you can call it, but yeah, I can see why you would call it. It does have rather steampunk-esque weaponry, but we will give it more context a little later in the year. There are reasons we don't call it steampunk, but I can't reveal those reasons now.
Okay, so now I can have like a lot of weapons in the game, right?
Yes, so what you've got right now is the thermite rifle, but it's just one of the weapons that we'll be using in-game. So we're just trying to show off the variety of the weapons we have, ultimately.
And what about the enemy? In the PlayStation conference, we saw something like
yes.
an undead creature?
We call it the lichen.
The lichen.
Yes.
PlayStation always tried to escape the normal, like flickers, the lichen.
Well, I'm glad you put us in the same breadth as The Last of Us. That's awesome as far as I'm concerned, to be honest. But we don't want to basically do the standard enemy. Yeah. And again, lichens in this game, though we treat them like the enemy, they're not an enemy you're going to see often. They're the enemy of the Order.
Yeah.
What just happened there?
We finished it.
No, not at all. Sorry about that, guys. It just reset itself. Never mind. These things happen with demos. They happen from... Naturally, you died. That's what happened. It's not our fault. It's not the game's fault. It's the player's fault. Sorry. But ultimately, they're one of the enemies, but a real... They should be treated like bosses, ultimately.
So we're not going to see them all the time.
You're going to see them, and you're going to hear them, but you're not going to engage them as much. Because, I mean, obviously, you've got other issues. Like, in this particular demo, we're up against the Rebels. Now, the Rebels have been found to have a cache of weapons that the Knights themselves have. And what the Knights need to figure out is how can this happen, noting that they're new armaments. This doesn't make any sense to them. So ultimately, this is the intrigue and the level of narrative that we want to bring into it. It's just not a mindless shooter. There's a background to everything. There's a history to the characters, there's a history to the world, but there's a huge backstory to what's going on at this particular point in time.
And is it going to be like, will we have multiplayer for the game? Or?
There is no multiplayer for the game.
There's no multiplayer?
No.
Because I remember like in the first trailer at Gamescom, you showed like 4 different characters, right?
Yes, and all 4 are right here with you now.
Yes. So I was expecting that this year every game is going to turn to be like you can play it with 4 players.
Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to concentrate on the Galahad story at this point in time. Now, Galahad is a part of this team of Knights. Yeah. So the 4 characters that you saw built up are all here with you, and they protect you and you protect them, ultimately. That it's basically his view of this particular story at this particular point.
Can we change the... Yes.
Okay. We'll take it with you.
So, can we change the camera?
You can't. It's fixed in this manner because we're trying to tell you a cinematic story. So as much as you can zoom in, as you've got at the moment, we're still trying to frame things cinematically. As you can tell, it's a beautiful game. That's undeniable. Revive yourself.
I keep dying. I'm trying to focus with you.
Well, that's all right because you're speaking to me, but I mean...
But I'm enjoying the game. This is my first time trying the game. I've seen the game like a lot of times. This is my first time putting my hands on it.
Yeah, it's the first public demo of the game, so I'm glad that you are enjoying it.
It's different. It's different. The whole scenery of the game, the graphics, everything in the game.
Press R1.
R1?
Yeah, no, so as you're firing that, R2, you've died again. That's what it is.
No, let's do it.
So yeah, all right, we're going to get this one.
I never die. All right, so R1.
So R2 gives you your spray of thermite, and then R1 triggers that thermite. That's where you're losing. There you go. But again, you're talking to me, so you're not likely to be able to
didn't
complete
read
it.
that.
There you go, you missed it.
Okay.
There you go. And you can feed the flame. If you now press, there you go. See? Now you're cooking with gas. It's
That's
kind of
fun.
evil.
Yeah, that's fun. Let's do this. Yes. Die. Die. Yeah. I'm not evil. I'm not evil.
Sorry, dude. I don't want to laugh into the I don't want to laugh.
You can laugh. You can laugh, man. You can laugh. It's fun. It's fun. You're talking about?
Your failure. No. Where were we?
We're talking about.
Oh, you
Okay.
ask one.
Okay. So you've been working on this game for 2 years now.
3.5 years.
Three and a half years.
But
What?
the concept is much older. So the concept, from the Ready at Dawn perspective, has been in existence for about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
It's just the last 3.5 years there've been concerted effort to, got it signed. Let's make it happen.
So what do you consider this game goes under? Which genre?
So it will definitely go under, well, you want to give it a loose genre. It's a shooter. It's a third-person shooter,
Yeah.
but it's one that we're trying to ensure isn't just a mindless blast. We don't want it to be seen as just like gun, 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 gun.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful backstory, and we have a huge world that we're trying to build. We're trying to build the type of title that people research individual bits and pieces about this game and then come back to us questioning what we've done with the timeline. But again, we are playing with an alternate history, 1886. Hence the weaponry, hence your references to steampunk.
I remember seeing that you guys traveled to London and took like a dozen of pictures.
We're talking about in the tens of thousands. Ridiculous amount of megage, giggage.
Do time lapse of everything and put it.
No. Well, we would have to go back in time to do that stuff. But we do. They did take so the stage you were playing in was Whitechapel, and Whitechapel in London itself, as it exists, still has a lot of buildings from that era which stand. And they meticulously went as far as looking into the brickwork, looking into the street scenes. I'm not going to say that this is an accurate rendition of Whitechapel as it would have existed, but they've looked at how towns or the city of London would have been built, and this is their rendition of it actually in an alternative manner.
With a little bit of taste from your side, like you added your own flair. To
Yes, there's always going to be a hint of radism, if you see what I mean. Radism. That's not a quote. That's really, really, really terrible. So.
Put it on the game like this game is
full of radism. Okay.
But seriously, the game looks fun,
Thank you.
and thanks for teaching me the trick. R2, R1.
And then feed the flame with the R2. Just keep feeding.
Just go like bang, 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 bang.
No, that's exactly it. Again, it's in keeping with we don't want it to be mindless. Everything is a tactic.
Yes.
And again, you're playing effectively as a knight who has lived for centuries. He's not going to be a silly one who's just going to take pop shots. He's going to accurately know what he's doing.
Coming from the Middle East, I have to ask this question. Would the game be localized to Arabic, or are you looking to do that?
We're still looking at that at the moment because the localization path hasn't been 100% set in stone. So I cannot, at this point, confirm yes or no, unfortunately. But I will know by the time I hit Gamescom.
Gamescom in August.
I'll know by then because we'll have had to have started most of the recordings by then. So
Nice.
all right.
I'm really excited to see the game at Gamescom
Yep.
again and play it. I'll play it now. We're not gonna record because I'm gonna die more and more and more.
Now you should be fine now.
I'll be
You've got the
fine
trick
now.
now and you
Yeah.
should be fine.
All right. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks for your time.
Look out!
Save your prayers, Lafayette. There is no God to help him.
PlayStation